Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Leshatarine Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. He Krishna karuna sindhu dinabandhu jagatpate gopesha gopika kanta radha kanta namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I heard you were here, so it can be.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo Bhagavate
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayesha Vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. This morning we're reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, entitled How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. Verse number 18. This was assigned to me by Kalakanta Prabhu to bring us into the spirit of our agriculture and cow protection conference. So let's chant the verse together. Dharma padaikena caran. Dharma padaikena caran. Vicchāyām upalabhya Vicchāyām upalabhya pṛcchati smāśru-vadanāṁ pṛcchati smāśru-vadanāṁ vivatsām iva mātaram vivatsām iva mātaram. Others? Dharma padaikena caran vicchāyām smāśru-vadanāṁ
vivatsām iva mātaram.
Dharma,
Dharma,
the personality of religious principles.
personality of religious principles.
Padā,
Padā,
leg.
leg.
Ekena,
Ekena,
on one only.
on one only.
Caran,
Caran,
wandering.
wandering.
Vicchāyām,
Vicchāyām,
overtaken by the shadow of grief.
overtaken by the shadow of grief.
Upalabhya,
Upalabhya,
having met.
having met.
Gam,
Gam,
the cow.
the cow.
Pṛcchati,
Pṛcchati,
asked.
asked.
Aśru-vadanāṁ,
Aśru-vadanām,
with tears on the face.
with tears on the face.
Vivatsām,
Vivatsām,
one who has lost her offspring.
one who lost her offspring.
Iva,
Viva,
like.
like.
Mātaram,
Mātaram,
the mother.
the mother.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The personality of religious principles, Dharma, was wandering about in the form of a bull. And he met the personality of earth in the form of a cow, who appeared to grieve like a mother who had lost her child. She had tears in her eyes, and the beauty of her body was lost. Thus, Dharma questioned the earth as follows. Purport. The bull is the emblem of the moral principle, and the cow is the representative of the earth. When the bull and the cow are in a joyful mood, it is to be understood that the people of the world are also in a joyful mood. The reason is that the bull helps production of grains in the agricultural field, and the cow delivers milk, the miracle of aggregate food values. The human society therefore maintains these two important animals very carefully so that they can wander everywhere in cheerfulness. But at the present moment in this age of Kali, both the bull and the cow are now being slaughtered and eaten up as foodstuff by a class of men who do not know the Brahminical culture. The bull and the cow can be protected for the good of all human society simply by the spreading of Brahminical culture as the topmost perfection of all cultural affairs. By advancement of such culture, the morale of society is properly maintained, and so peace and prosperity are also attained without extraneous effort. When Brahminical culture deteriorates, the cow and bull are mistreated, and the resultant actions are prominent by the following symptoms. This ends Prabhupada's purport, and following symptoms will be described in the next verse. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I'm happy to be here in New Vrindaban again after we lost count of the number of years since I was last here. Maybe 10. Time flies, but Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra are wonderfully being cared for. I see and no doubt also the cows and the bulls. So it's very nice. I feel fortunate to be here. The verse and the purport and the chapter in general, we can say, are making this connection between what is being called Brahminical culture and cow protection. I'm going to have a task for you in just a few minutes. We're going to depart a bit from the usual format. I'm going to put you to work, actually, because what I want that we'll be doing is exploring this connection. What is the connection between Brahminical culture and cow protection? And we'll get to that. But first, let's back up a little bit and consider the wider context. We have Maharaj Pṛcchati, who we know is going to be condemned. Well, is he going to be condemned or is he going to be blessed? The condemnation is indeed going to be a blessing to all of us, that we have the opportunity to hear from Shukadeva Goswami. That meeting will take place, or will be described after a few chapters, in the final chapter of this first canto of Bhagavatam. The first canto, we can say, is preparing us for that meeting, the meeting of Pṛcchati Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami, so that we understand the significance of that meeting. We get the entire first canto. And so that we get the significance of who is Maharaj Pṛcchati, we hear several chapters about him. In this chapter, we're hearing about his encounter with, it says, the age of Kali, the personality of Kali. Literary scholars would refer to what is being described here as an allegory. What is an allegory? An allegory is where you have personified abstract principles and you have a narrative. We have an example of this in the drama that was composed by Kavi Karnapura, the Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. This is a 10-act Sanskrit drama in which he introduces a variety of personalities who are allegorical personalities. The personality of Dharma and adharma are there, and Kali. In the beginning of the drama, as I remember, there is a discussion between Kali and adharma, and one of them, I believe it's Kali, is very concerned, very worried, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to appear, and what is that going to do to him? It may be, is it Kali or adharma who is concerned? One of the two. They have a discussion in any case. And similarly, it might be said, here we can understand or we can appreciate what's being described as something of an allegory, because we have the personality of Dharma. Dharma we would normally think of in abstract terms as a principle, a very important principle, no doubt, central, we may say, to the culture of Krishna consciousness, along with bhakti, or supportive, or in the background of bhakti. Or we may want to say bhakti is the perfection of Dharma. Savai pungsang paro dharma, the topmost dharma is bhakti. But in any case, we may say that dharma is a kind of abstraction, and now this abstraction is personified in the form of a bull. Similarly, the earth, well, you can say the earth is no abstraction. The earth is something very physical. We are, as we speak, we are sitting on the earth. But the earth we don't usually think of in personal terms. And that, we may say, is very unfortunate. There is this more recently developed idea in the environmentalist movement, the Gaia principle, Gaia being the Greek term for the earth, the demigod, we would say, of the earth. We, of course, understand the earth is Bhumi, and Bhumi Devi is, we may understand as an expansion of Lakshmi, and she is lifted when Varahadev, we have Varaha Maharaj here, when Varahadev saves the earth, he lifts her up on the tusks of his transcendental form. And so we understand earth is a personality, indeed a feminine personality, and here she's appearing as a cow. And we have a Dharma bull and earth cow, and they are going to speak. We don't usually understand cows and bulls speaking, although this may be our limitation, that we don't hear. Of course, we can hear them expressing themselves as cows generally do, but who knows what language they may have amongst each other. In any case, we get this communication, and Dharma is noticing, he is perceiving, he's seeing that the cow, earth, is crying. Vicchāyām, upalabhya, having reached the gam who is vicchāyām and who is vivatsām, iva, a cow, gam, who is overtaken by the shadow of grief, vivatsām iva, as if having lost her offspring. That's interesting because, of course, the present day dairy industry, typically when a calf is born, is immediately removed from the mother, is separated from the mother. That's the beginning of the horror story of how cows are treated, and cows meaning cows and bulls. It's actually a horror story which is kept very carefully behind closed doors. It is systematically hidden from public view so that people don't think about what is going on. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada is making this connection between Brahminical culture, as he calls it, and protection of cow and bull. He says, at the present moment in this age of Kali, both the bull and the cow are now being slaughtered and eaten up as foodstuff by a class of men who do not know the Brahminical culture, suggesting not so much demonic nature as ignorance. And so what do we understand is the duty, the focus of those who are aiming to be madhyama adhikari. Ishvare tat adineshu balisheshu dvishatsu cha prema maitri kripa upeksha yakaroti sa madhyama. Ishvare tat adineshu, to the Lord, the devotees in the madhyama level cultivate prema, a sense of love. And maitri, from the word mitra, which means friend, maitri means friendship, to adina, those who are literally those who are not fallen or those who are not wretched, the devotees. And then kripa, mercy, kindness, compassion, is to be extended to balisha, to those who are, we translate as innocent. So here the suggestion is people are simply innocent. What are they innocent of? They're innocent of Brahminical culture. But what is Brahminical culture? What is that? If we wanted a concise definition of Brahminical culture, we might find ourselves challenged, because to sort of capture the whole spirit of what we have come to understand as Brahminical culture is not easy with definition. However, there is a comment from Srila Prabhupada. I don't have the source of it here on this note, but he said, this Krishna consciousness movement is for the protection of Brahminical culture and cows. Notice he puts the two together. Brahminical culture and cows. Brahminical culture and cows. Cows and Brahminical culture. Then he goes on to say, when these two things are neglected, it is animal society. And then other animal qualities and paraphernalia follow. So he's suggesting a slippery slope. If there is human culture minus Brahminical culture and cow protection equals, you can make a little formula, equals what? Animal culture, animal society. And then he says, and then other animal qualities and paraphernalia follow. He doesn't elaborate just there. So what I would like to do, actually I'm inspired by Ajita Prabhu. He was speaking at Gita Nagari about results. We have to think in terms of results in our activities. So I was thinking, Brahminical culture and cow protection, we say they are connected, but just how are they connected? And so what I want that we do is a little bit of reflection on this, and how we want to do this. I'm proposing, well, it could be in different ways, but I suggest mind mapping. Do you know what a mind map is? A mind map is circles and arrows and squares and dotted lines and connecting and getting concepts and seeing how they relate to each other in a graphic way. And so to help in this exercise, we have paper and we have pens. Haribo. And so for the next few minutes, now we have a few of these pads, but these have been reserved for the conference, and I don't know if we should pass out single pieces of paper or the pads all together, but here's what I've received.
Recollect.
Yes, we want to recollect. And what you can do, if you're the sort of person who likes to think by yourself, here's more of these, then feel free to think and sketch by yourself. If you prefer to talk with one other person, you're welcome to do that. If you like bigger groups, you're welcome to make a bigger group. But let's try to get something on paper, and then I would really like that we collect these, because we might learn something from this which could be useful for the ministry of agriculture and cow protection. Now, I understand this is not the usual thing that we do in a morning Bhagavatam class, but Hare Krishna, this is the Hare Krishna movement. And so sometimes we have to get our brains moving, and sometimes a good way to do that is with pen and paper. So the question is, how do we graphically locate or make connection between Brahminical culture and cow protection? Now, within that, there could be other questions. What do we mean by Brahminical culture? What do we mean by culture? But I don't want to get it too complicated. You may want to start with the word culture, and you may want to start with the idea of cultivation, since we are here on a farm. You may also want to consider, what do Brahmins do? And if you think about traditional Brahminical activity, you may recall that a central activity is yajna. And what is it that is offered as oblation into the fire of yajna? Huh? Margarine? Mantra, but yes, and ghee, yes. Hare Krishna. So I'm gonna be silent now for some time while you. I see you're all inclined to work individually. That's fine. Hare Krishna. As you like. As you like. Can be a combination of both. Yeah, if you think more in words than in visual terms, that's fine. You can also just make some bullet points or whatever. But again, the question is about the connection, the yoga, between these two principles or themes: cow protection on the one side, Brahminical culture on the other. The question is, what is the connection? How can we show this connection between Brahminical? How can we illustrate this to a wider society? Since Prabhupada says people are not aware, they don't know Brahminical culture. So maybe step one is, identifying what is that.
Do we stay anonymous on our papers?
It's up to you.
All right.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. We should have some background music.
Some cows mooing.
Some cows mooing, yeah. If I had, yeah, you could turn the camera around, show everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. You already have something, okay. Wow, look at this, thank you. I can see, okay, I can see these are organized people, thank you. Hare Krishna. Knowledge, culture, dance, art, political culture, wow, okay. Okay, thank you. We're getting some results up here.
You preach too much when we're done, is that the idea?
It doesn't have to be just now, it can be later. Oh, thank you.
This is one quote which Srila Prabhupada gives in one of the Bhagavad Gita purports, this from Chandogya Upanishad.
Uh-huh. Okay, thank you. Maybe we do, we take 1 or 2 more minutes? How are we doing? Some of you are still busy.
Give it to you.
Okay. Oh, look at that. Lots of circles.
The 3 A's. The 3 A's. And these 3 A's actually are attraction to the cows, association with the cows, and affection with the cows. Because cows have a distinct personality. And they're different from horses, for example. And they're also different from dogs. But they have their own unique personality, and they have great affection once they get to know you. You know, Shastra says cows see with their nose. So by their nose, they understand everything in life. So the thing is to get to know what a cow actually is. You know, the habits. Like we see, like if you live in countries where they milk the cows by hand, specific times the cows are milked. And if they're not milked, you'll hear that they'll be bellowing because it's time to, they're saying time to milk me now. And actually, when you're around cows, you can hear these different bellows, and the bellow for a time to be milked is different from the bellow when it's time to eat. You know? So just little things like that. If people get to know cows, they will have great affection for